Great. Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday. I can't believe it. It's October 1st. Year of our Lord 2025. My Cordaro jeweler's watch tells me it's 9:12 and 30 seconds. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I could prove it because the Secretary of War just has told his generals, get your asses in shape. We got wars to fight. It's also the place for the brave, like the veterans we salute today, but lost this year, like Philip Zangi, Falls Township, Frank Zack, Taylor, Patrick McDonald, Dixon City, Robert Bush Jones, Larksville, Chuck Haynes, Jessup, and William Mitchell, Bear Creek. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, incredible, irreplaceable founding fathers, that the government is not, should not be, and by law cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was nothing that could be parceled out to groups, and freedom couldn't be controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensured and codified freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press, no matter how they use it. They trusted us to figure it out. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you, because of our commitment to common sense, we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you for the balance of the morning. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Hey, starting out, I'll comment on the clips I just played. My buddy, Dave Zankner, 22 years at the Lackawanna County in the maintenance department. And he was part of I thought one of the great projects. I just knew we had good people there when I was commissioner. He among them. And we, for a minimal cost, redid the whole commissioner's suite with our own people, not contractors, not anything else. Zank was part of that. He's one of the all-time characters. I love him. So congratulations on your retirement, Zank. And I know you'll enjoy it, your retirement enthusiastically. Murph let me know that you were retiring, and I'm so happy for you, buddy. All right. So there's so many things that go on in a day. Let's start with maybe it was the sort of the last part of the day. Trump had an AI in medicine announcement. And I was going to play that clip, but I said, how many clips can you play? This cute little girl thanking the president for helping her with curing her cancer. And they're investing money in AI for medicine, which is, by and large, a great thing. And then stepping back, he had the pharmaceutical companies come in, well, specifically Pfizer, who agreed to reduce prices. And I'm like, okay. And before that, you heard Pete Hegseth speaking to the assembled generals and giving them their marching orders, which, by the way, that's what leadership looks like. Leadership isn't patty cake, particularly in the military. This is not some software company or gaming company. Oh, let's make sure we have the right amount of latte for... I listen to people talk about it. I was listening to the morning show talk about it. And I'm thinking, what do you think this is? A gaming software company where we've got to make sure there's enough latte and enough pillows? Oh, and can they play ping pong? This is the most lethal fighting force in the history of mankind, and we are facing some of the most lethal threats in the history of mankind. And the leader, Pete Hegseth, and his boss, Donald Trump, said, here's how it's going to go down. Now, many of you may not understand that. I'm surprised if you don't. That's how it works. And then it is the job of those generals in attendance, as they said, if you're queasy about what you're hearing, that we're going to have standards. Oh, God forbid we have standards for the people protecting the world from evil. If you're queasy about it, you could leave. Quietly resign. If you like it, or if you think you might want to try the new discipline, the new rules, go. Like, it's crazy. You don't even have a clue what the military's supposed to do if you're complaining about what he did yesterday, Hegseth and Trump. You don't even have a concept. You got to remember, though, the Democrats, the left, they thought it was a social experimentation. They were going to make people do what they wanted to do to shape society. Ridiculous, disgusting, debilitating. Remember that insane commercial, recruiting commercial? The girl with the two mommies? What in God's name does that have to do with fighting a war? And there are tons of places, including combat, that the right women are right for the job. And that, to me, that was very clearly pointed out. But you're going to be right for the job. Man, woman, old, young, it doesn't matter. You will be right for the job, and the people alongside you will be able to count on you. I'm listening to the morning show. There's no more hand-to-hand combat. That's not the way wars are. You have no idea what you're talking about. But you're still talking. And because it's Trump, as somebody texted in just now, whatever the administration does to better the country, the morning show will never be in agreement. Well, yeah, I know. It's sad. It's sad. I mean, my God. I'm not sure what the issue is. And then you've got the government shutdown on top of all of that. So a big day yesterday. So the government shutdown. Does anybody feel it yet? Let me say this quickly because we've got to go to break. I really don't want the Republicans to be so histrionic about the government shutdown. Deep down, we don't have any problem with it. And in fact, I've been following this, and I looked up the laws, and I'll try to get somebody that's expert in this to talk about it. But it's going to unfold right in front of us. If there's a government shutdown of any length, the Trump administration is going to use it as an opportunity to dramatically reduce government headcount. We could hit a home run with this shutdown. So I don't think the Republicans should be saying, "Oh, it's so horrible." You don't believe that, number one. So stop play acting. Don't be them. Don't be the Democrats. Don't be the left. Don't play act that it's so horrible that the government's going to get shut down. We'll just say, hey, they want to shut the government down because they're insane. Because paying the health bills, the taxpayers paying the health care bills of illegals is more important than anything to the Democrat Party. And it is. Their priorities are all anti-American. That's what they are. Remember that. But Republicans, don't be getting your panties in a bunch because the government's shut down. Believe me, the longer it goes, the less people will care. We'll see. Again, Fetterman, he keeps surprising. He surprises with his rhetoric, and he voted for the continuing resolution, which was the only thing that makes sense, no matter what your position is. Now, is the Democrat Party doing what the Republicans have done, which is, all right, let's bring this as far as we can. And once we realize we're going to lose, we back off. We'll see if the Democrats do that. I don't know. My guess is they're going to give permission to certain Democrats to vote to reopen the government in a fairly short period of time. That's my best guess. And they'll get the 60 votes they need. They'll get the 7 Democrats they need, and we'll move on from this silliness. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. A little history, a little music, and then we'll be back. And you could reach this show at 570-883-0098 by calling or texting. Murph tells us this date, 1955, the Platters debuted with their first single. Could you believe that's their first song? Wow. Only You. One of the greatest songs of all time, right? Bob Cordaro back on the program. And, of course, before that, Ford introducing the Model T in 1908. And the rest, as they say, is history. Well, so is that. Let's see here. Butch from Mountaintop says, I don't know why people, the morning show in particular, he puts in parentheses, have an issue with the military saying no more bullspit. We are returning to previous standards. My daughter is in the Air Force right now. She wants to complete basic training at the standard it's always been. She doesn't want the standard to be lowered to ensure she passes. Well, there's who we need in the military. Thank you, Butch. ALTS back at you, and congratulations to her. Not only for being in, but saying, I want this to be right. This is an organization I'm part of. I want to make it stronger. Somebody said, I'm looking for it, that they had two. Oh, here it is. Oh, and then they continue. And just to follow up, Butch's daughter wants the person next to her in the trenches to be qualified and earn the right to be there, not someone who's going to throw a hissy fit because enemy soldiers misgendered her. Yeah. Another texter, U.S. Army Engineer Mechanic 62 Bravo, 1987, 1996. We still had to pass PT tests 2 times a year, qualify with weapons every year, and make PT formation every morning. It's the military, says Pastor Mitch. That's why you're a great pastor. Somebody else, interesting take on why yesterday's meeting couldn't be a Zoom meeting. Well, you're going to look at a Zoom meeting. By the way, that's the other part of leadership. A Zoom meeting has its place for informational purposes. There, I'm going to give you some information. This was in a change of leadership direction. And a lot of those generals in that room are mediocre, period. A lot of them had gotten their way to the top with politics and playing the game. And Hegseth and the president let them know to their faces, the game has changed. This ain't politics. This is performance. This is merit. It's too important for the bullcrap that they instituted, not only over the years, but intensified sickeningly during the Biden administration. You deliver that message in person. And by the way, it takes a lot more brass to tell the generals to their faces the game has changed. Would have been easy to do it on a Zoom meeting. Another listener, my son is a Marine. He left after his 4 years, even though I thought he was going to be a lifer because of the DEI bullspit going on. It's short-sighted, but very common. Same thing with my son. They weren't doing anything. Well, I joined the military, and I've got a weakness for the Marines, especially the Marines, to do something, not to play games. And Hegseth laid it out in lavender yesterday. And I hope there's about 50 generals resigning. I really do. There's too many anyway. And he said it. Enough. That was a very important meeting yesterday. It had to be in person. By the way, my mother said, now this is funny. Only you brings memories, my mother says. My father used to sing it to her. How about that? See that? Romance is not dead. All right. We've got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. And then we got a Veterans Tribute, the weather, and then you at 570-883-0098. If you ever get a chance to go to the Bloomsburg American Legion, outside is a stone, and carved on it, it says, "What is a veteran?" And I add a little here, but it says a veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, peacetime or wartime, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor. And we're proud to do the Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great family of companies, including Basiliga Hospitality. 3 amazing bar restaurants spread throughout Lackawanna County. The Far Tavern, the great Trips Park section of West Scranton, Queen City Tavern in downtown Oliphant, and the Old Brook Inn, 307 Springbrook Township. They're great places. And there's more. There's fine dining, the best anywhere. The Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. A Terra 519, downtown Scranton. Philip Zangi He passed away September 26 at age 81. He was living in Falls Township. His wife of 61 years is the former Patty Ashman. Born in Scranton, educated in Scranton schools, he proudly served this country in the U.S. Army, stationed in Germany from June 66 to July 68. Prior to retirement, he worked in sales for Fruhoff Trailers and Wabash National Trailers. 1968 to 2014. Made many friends in that business. He was a member of the Waverly Masonic Lodge. In addition to his wife, in-laws, nieces, nephews, especially Mike Slowey, who was like a grandson. Preceded in death by brother Mickey Zangi and his wife Mary, Robert Zangi, sister Jean Marie Franco and husband Donald, and brother-in-law Steve Franco. Philip Zangi. Frank Zach. He was 79 years of age when he died September 26th. He was from Taylor. His wife is the former Helen Sklarski. They would have celebrated their 55th wedding anniversary this November 26th. Born in Duryea, graduate of Northeast High School, Duryea. He earned an associate's degree in business at Lackawanna College. He honorably served all of us in the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. He was employed as a truck driver with New Penn and then retired from Roadway. Member of the Teamsters Local 220 and 401. Member St. Peter and Paul Church, West Scranton. He always put his family first in life. Never missed an opportunity to give of himself to others who needed his help. Surviving, in addition to his wife, are his siblings, nieces, nephews, and other family members. Frank Zach. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga Hospitality. Oh, that means the weather. Storm Tracker 16 forecast for meteorologist Joe Snedeker today, mostly sunny and cooler. It's only going to be 68. Tonight, clear skies, 43. Thursday, sunny, 70. Friday, sunny, 72. 55 outside the studios right now. Yeah, it was a little chilly going from, well, the dog, Chauncey. I don't know, you know, they've got that bulldog. He's a bull mastiff. And they get into a habit. It's crazy. So now 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm out there in the bushes. Chauncey, waiting for Chauncey to do something. And it was chilly. And, you know, then the cold weather wakes you up, and how do you get back to sleep? In any event. Morning, Bob LTS. There was no DEI in 1979 when I joined the Marine Corps. It wasn't until Bill Clinton established Don't Ask, Don't Tell that it started. The Marines fought that and were last to accept it after they were ordered to, says Rodney. Some adaptation is necessary. Some adaptation is necessary. It just is. I have no problem with gays in the military. By the way, if a transsexual can do the job, fine. But you're not getting special treatment, and we are not paying for your transition. That's yours. That's on you, period. So good morning and greetings, Bob ALTS. I'm trying to imagine coaches Jack Henses and George Curry being forced to incorporate DEI into their football programs. You can't imagine it because it would never happen. Thank you for that point. This is not patty cake. I mean, it's football. It's a man's game. And we got mentally and sometimes physically abused. It was part of learning how to play the game and learning how life was going to be. I'm happy you brought that up. But think, and that pales. Football pales in comparison to what the military's got to face. And maybe you go through a whole career peacetime. Who knows? Maybe you go through your entire stint in peacetime. Who knows? But you're there to be prepared. No standards. Ridiculous. Somebody says the same people have been telling us for the last 50 years that women can do everything a man can do are now complaining because the Trump administration is going to hold women to the same standards as men. Paul from Larksville. Amen. Amen. And by the way, I am sure, I am certain that there's a hell of a lot of women that can get the job done. And you're embarrassing them by telling them they can't. We're going to lower the standards for you. Well, they've raised the standards, and recruiting is through the roof. Somebody said, Bob, don't worry. There were a lot of generals there that applauded everything that they heard because they longed for the old times. Someone saying handing someone with a mental illness a rifle is not a good idea. Well, there's plenty of heterosexuals that have mental problems. And we know that from incidents at Fort Hood. We know that from the Marine who just tried to incinerate the Mormons. It's not unique. We'll put it that way. It's not unique to transsexuals. Mental illness. It's there. By the way, I want to quickly mention an old friend of mine I hadn't seen for a while. Dr. Michael Aluzzi passed away September 26th. And I caught the, he just had a great career. I met him when he took over the Everhart Museum. And he was always involved in the arts. He was just a truly quality guy. And he just did some neat things. Like he said, hey, we've got hundreds, if not thousands of pictures in the basement collecting dust. Let's do a grand tour. And he hung them all up all over the place. And I went to him and said, I'd like to hang the gallery, as much art as you could lend us in the commissioner's suite to promote art. And I was only the minority commissioner at the time, and you would think he'd be afraid to do it because of the Corcoran climate. And no, he said, let's do it. And we did it. Pretty neat. Michael Aluzzi, you led a great life, and just sorry to have lost you. Sorry to have lost you. Somebody saying, can you see a guy with PTSD stand behind a guy with a beard? Wait, you lost me. Every day, and then let them have beards now because it's their right once. You sign the papers, you give up all your rights. Oh, going into the military. You just listen and do what you're told. That's what the military is. And then, when you find out that the generals don't know what the hell they're doing, then you adapt and overcome. Somebody texts in, Stepping Stone Page, that's being our awful mayor, Paige Cognetti. I'm sure a fine person in many ways. She cordially invites you to an open house at City Hall Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pay parking for the first hour. It will be the first time in years that the extra set of doors will be unlocked. Join us and watch the crowd go mild, says Mike Mancini. Oh, yeah, everything's happening now for Paige. And by the way, I mentioned it yesterday. As long as you got me on the subject. I don't have time now, but I want to get back to it. There was a bidding process, and there was a contractor she didn't want to win. She rebid the project for more money. That's a splash pad in Kapowska Avenue I talked about. Bad. She's a hack with a smile. Ricardo Jewelers watch says 950. Ecclesiastes, the Birds, they released their hit, Turn, Turn, Turn. This date, 1965, quoting the Bible. Beautiful song. And 1955, this date, the Honeymooners. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that in comedy. It really doesn't. By the way, somebody texting in, did Norman Schwarzkopf meet the heightened weight standards? I doubt it. Still led the greatest all-volunteer force ever assembled and defeated a million-man army in 45 days. I will bet you that Norman Schwarzkopf would pass the PT standards. I would bet any amount of money. The late, great Norman Schwarzkopf, Stormin' Norman. I'll bet he'd pass. Separate issue, but, you know. Hey, one of the first people I thought of, because they're talking about, well, Trump doesn't meet the standards. And I'm like, well, neither did Winston Churchill. He did pretty well for the world, didn't he? You could take anything and run wild with it if you're negative towards the deliverer of the message. Norman Schwarzkopf would make it in Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump's army, I guarantee you. So don't worry about that. By the way, I get sent things from Bill O'Reilly, who I still love. And he points out that the Justice Department is looking at 95-year-old George Soros for possible criminal activity. He's giving money to organizations which are creating violence. Never mind the disaster and damage he's done by funding radical district attorneys. Kim Fox, Chicago. Larry Krasner, Philadelphia. George Gascon, Los Angeles. He's literally killed people. And as O'Reilly says, I don't know why he's pushing this soft on crime policies as well as anti-capitalist policies around the world and open borders. He's a sickening human being. I would love to see him prosecuted. Would love it. He's a low life. Low life. Believe me. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. I guess I shouldn't be making fun of shareholders, should I? My Bacardo Jewelers watch says 10:01:30. That means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. Great good morning, everyone. My Cordaro Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:08:37 here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, October 1, 2025. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and let's feature one of his great companies today, Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but get a chance to celebrate today thanks to John. Like Frank Zach Taylor, Philip Zangi, Falls Township, Patrick McDonald, Dixon City, Robert Butch Jones, Larksville, Chuck Haynes, Jessup, and William Mitchell, Bear Creek Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense after that brief news adjournment. And letting you know, just another shout out. We shout out to my man Dave Zankner, retiring today as maintenance at Lackawanna County. But Mayor Brown in Wilkes-Barre, he honored a couple of DPW guys, and you know we love them. Couple of DPW guys who may have saved a bunch of lives. And they are Tyler Carilla and A.J. Yellen. They noticed smoke coming from the third floor of a single-family home at Brown Street back in September 24th. They called 911, alerted the occupants their house was on fire, and got them and their pets out safely. And the mayor honored them at City Hall yesterday. Great stuff. Great stuff. Congratulations to both, and thank you to both. Not just for your heroics, but for what you do every day. It's important. And don't let anybody tell you it's not. Old gal from Mountaintop says, Bob LTS, I was glad to hear Hegseth give the military leaders a warning. It's about time. No more pussyfooting around. We have let things lapse so badly. It's about time something was said. Good for him and Trump. We need so much more of this. No one is perfect, but let's get with the program and be strong again. LTS, back at you, old gal. Yes. Yeah. Somebody pointed out Henses, and I'll throw Frank Pizzalia in there, too. I could throw a lot of coaches in there. And George Curry, and like, hey, they ran things their way, and we did it. You did it, or you quit. And it made us better football players, even though we hated it. A lot of it. Same thing with the military, only it's more important. So keep it up, Pete Hegseth. By the way, my man Excavator Guy texts in. He says, good morning, or emailed in. After your comment about the morning show statement that there is no more hand-to-hand combat, I can attest that there actually still is hand-to-hand combat as we experienced it during the Iraq War firsthand, being combat infantry in the Army. Thank you for that, for you, not only for the message, but more importantly, for serving us in the Iraq War. Excavator Guy, thank you, my man. It's important stuff. Very, very important. So, look at, they're doing the right things. And actually, we know from who the critics are that they're doing the right things. Now, the Democrats could reopen, and the Senate could reopen the government today. They can reopen it tomorrow, whenever. I think that in addition to the three senators who voted, Democrat senators who voted to keep the government open, that 5 more could be found. And that may happen at any time. They just get released. Schumer says, look, I can't do it because AOC is going to run against me in the primary if I do. The next primary. Like, Chuck, first of all, get off the stage. You're a jackass. What a total fool, total phony. A disgrace. Get him off the stage. But let's say he doesn't. All they do is they'll release a few senators who are from purple states or red states. I don't know if there's any more of them left. And say, look, you can vote to keep this going. We'll continue our fight for illegal aliens. And let you do the right thing. We'll continue to do the wrong thing. So I think there's at least a 50-50 chance, maybe better, that 5 Democrats will defect from the lunatic fringe and vote to reopen the government. We're going to see. And, but to me, again, shut it down. You know, everybody's mad at Rand Paul. He was the sole Republican who voted against the budget. Well, he did so on principle. He says they're wasting a fortune. He believes they haven't really reformed anything or changed anything with the big mediocre bill. Now, I would retort to Rand Paul, who I admire and who I like. I got to meet him. Rand, I appreciate you standing on principle. But you can only get what you can get. So you're voting against continuation of the old budget. It doesn't help anything. We know you're a principled guy. You don't have to show us every day. You just don't. And let's keep it real. Like, politics is the art of the possible. And if anything showed you, I want you to think about the big mediocre bill. Now, the big mediocre bill was far from perfect, but it did a lot of important things. It gave credit, a tax credit, to seniors on Social Security. It gave it eliminated taxes on overtime. It eliminated taxes on the first $25,000 of tips. 3 of the best working class policies, tax policies, we have ever seen in this country. Let's take those alone. It took Medicaid away from people who want to lay around and do nothing. And believe me, I understand. I can lay around and do nothing with the best of them. But that doesn't mean I get government money or I get my health care paid for because I'm lazy. No, you got to at least work 20 hours or you have to have dependent children. That's why when I mentioned Paige Cognetti lying on the morning show, she claims she talked to a couple of parents with disabled children who had Medicaid cut off. Well, number one, the big mediocre bill doesn't go into effect until next year. So you're lying. You weren't talking to anyone with disabilities. Just like you're lying when you say, well, I had to run for Congress. I just decided now. You hired an operative from Cartwright's office last year so you could run for Congress. You're a liar. And now you're cutting people out for bids because they're opposing you politically and costing the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars because of it. And another of your phony splash pads is not built. This is what you get with the left, believe me. They share a lot of qualities. Incompetence is one of them. Covering up, lying, and hypocrisy are the others. Somebody says George Curry would not have won so many football games. A duck is a duck and a mouse is a mouse. Now, I'm not quite sure of your analogy, but okay, I get what you mean. Somebody talking about the news, so these fools can vote on bills but can't come up with a budget. Sounds like intentional. I think you're talking about the state. They're voting on these gun bills, but they can't get a budget. It's not the fault. It's the governor's fault that we don't have a budget here. He wants to spend more money than's coming in. He wants to waste all the reserves because he's running for president. Another phony. Ridiculous phony. No, it's crazy stuff, guys. For me, and I hope for most people thinking and paying attention, I hope, sincerely hope, that your concerns extend to all Democrats. You've got to look at them with very closely. Anybody who's a Democrat. See who they supported. See how they voted. See if they're actually independent of the lunatic left of their party. And people like the mayor and people like the governor, they're not. And they're doing real harm to the people they represent. By the way, another mention. Here are the Supreme Court, 3 Supreme Court idiots we want to vote against. Say no. Say no mas. Say non if you're French. Wecht, Donahue, Doherty. Non. No mas. No. We'll be back. Play that a little extra long for my man, Doc Doherty. On the mend. We love him. This date, 1966. He's the biggest Neil Diamond fan I know. I think of him every time I play Neil Diamond. Murph says Neil had his first top 10 charts hit at number 10 with that song, Cherry Cherry, back in October 1, 1966. And In God We Trust began appearing on U.S. paper currency 1957. Bob Cordaro back with you here on WILK. And how about this story about the superintendent of schools in Des Moines? And I hate to laugh about it. I mean, he was a left-wing lunatic, but by all accounts, a nice guy. We had a similar situation happen here in Lackawanna County with a guy who owned 2 or 3 restaurants, and they just didn't get the job done regarding their residency. And during the Biden administration, they determined, hey, you're illegal, you got to go. But I guess he didn't do anything. And now he's being detained by ICE, and he had to resign his position as school superintendent. I mean, by the way, one of the people, she's running for Congress or Senate, tied in with this whole fiasco. Again, remember, if you're a left-winger, with rare exceptions, you are incompetent. Because you're separated from fact, truth, and reality. Anything you do that's good or that works is by accident. And I believe her name is Jackie Norris. Now, Ian Roberts, he failed to provide proof he was legally eligible to work for the district. Norris says he did not provide the board with the information we requested. Oh, Lord. I'm telling you, these people, they're insane. Now, this is not a legal alien working hard in a landscaping business. This guy's high profile. He's in public, making speeches, teaching kids, guiding the education of a huge school district, Des Moines. He's an illegal alien. Wow. And this woman wants to be the senator. You can't make these people up. You cannot invent their incompetence. You can't exaggerate their incompetence because it is so massive. It's so off the charts. By the way, Joe Biden is never going to get his, and it would be a disgrace, presidential library funded. I hope. You never know. But Trump's is probably already funded. YouTube had to pay a $24.5 million settlement to Trump over suspending his account in 2021. It's hilarious. My friend Frank Mack had sent that in. Sends a lot of good stuff in. By the way, I'll come back with it. A bunch of you has sent me, including my friend Lance Stange, about our mayor in Scranton. And remember, she's your problem too, even though you don't live there. I promise you. And she's trying to become more of your problem by running for Congress while she runs for re-election of mayor. The arrogance is off the charts. We'll talk about this after this hospital situation when we come back. Bob Cordaro, the eponymous program, will roll on, and we've got a Veterans Tribute when we return. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. We're featuring today one of his great companies, Basiliga Hospitality, because, believe it or not, the weekend is upon us. And tonight, tomorrow night, weekend, whatever, you won't go to better bar restaurants than his trio of the Old Brook Inn in Springbrook Township, the Far Street Tavern, West Side, Scranton, and Queen City Tavern, Oliphant. You will not experience finer dining in a modern setting at a Terra 519 downtown Scranton. In an age-old setting, the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. And I was at Sergei's, the nightclub, last weekend. That is it hopping every weekend. And, of course, you want to see a first-run movie? Scranton Art House, Lackawanna Avenue. Robert Butch Jones. We lost him at age 84, September 17th. He was born in Kingston, a graduate of Larksville High School. He proudly served us in the United States Army. Butch then continued his service. He became a dedicated correctional officer at SCI Phoenix, where he was respected by colleagues for his patience, strong work ethic, and quiet strength. He was known for his kind heart, says his family. He was a member of the Larksville American Legion. In addition to his parents, he was preceded in death by his wife and tragically by two sons, Robert and Christopher. Left to cherish his memory are his daughter, Jennifer, sisters, and numerous loving nieces, nephews, and cousins. Robert Butch Jones. Patrick McDonald, Dixon City. He was 88 when we lost him September 16th. His wife of 62 years is the former Joyce Santorelli. Patrick McDonald was born in Scranton, a graduate of the great Scranton Technical High School. He attended Lackawanna College and proudly served us in the United States Army, stationed in Germany. Family was the center of his world. A man of strong Christian faith, he lived his life with kindness, humility, and devotion to God. His faith was the foundation of his strength and the guide for the way he loved and cared for others. Can't say much better about anyone. Also surviving, in addition to his wife, are his daughter Michelle, his son Patrick, a grandson, and many other relatives. Patrick McDonald. Our great veterans this hour brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. Storm Tracker 16 forecast from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. He says today mostly sunny, but it'll be cooler. Only about 68, 59 degrees outside the studios right now. Tonight, clear skies down to 43. Chauncey, get the job done before you go to bed. Thursday, sunny, high 70. Friday, sunny, high 72. And by the way, Saturday, it's not too late to participate or donate. The beneficiary is St. Joseph Center. It's the 33rd annual Anthony J. Cordaro Memorial Tournament. And it's at the Marjan. And the food is awesome. A little wine, oh, Lord, it's fantastic. So that's Saturday at 1 o'clock, shotgun start. If you're not a big golfer, you only got to play 9 holes. If you're a big golfer, I'm telling you, as a country club golfer, or at least former, it's a challenge. It's a battle. You will enjoy the course. And you'll find out how good you actually are at the Marjan on Saturday. Yeah. Somebody texted in, Bob, I know someone in Scranton that has a former chicken coop. They would like to donate to former President Biden for his presidential library. Now, is there a meaning behind that, or are you just throwing things on in the wall? Oh boy, oh boy. Somebody said, "Dear Bob, you're too nice." Well, that's not said to me often, so thank you. This woman, Norris, the candidate for Senate against, and we had her on the air. I love her. The current senator of Joni Ernst from Iowa. We had her on the air last year. We loved her. Norris, though, he says she's a bleep and bleep. Yes, guaranteed. And she's, again, incompetent. That is the hallmark. I don't care if it is our wolf in sheep's clothing governor, our incompetent mayor, who lies all the time as she's running for Congress. I mean, these are whoppers. These are lies that are easily exposed. Oh, I didn't plan on running for Congress. Yeah, well, you hired a congressional aide last year. But it just dawned on you that you have to run for Congress. Just now. Then you lie that, so-and-so, Stacey Garrity's running for office while she's in office. No, she's not running for office while she's running for re-election. You've topped the charts here. and you're rigging bids to spite your enemies and reward your friends. Who the heck are you kidding? See, these are the things you have to do, by the way. I'm getting texts from Cutie. Did the dog go poop? That's what I have to. I'm trying to concentrate on the show. And yes, he did. Lord. Chauncey, what a maroon. I had him in here yesterday. But we had some objection, so we'll see if I can bring him in again or not. So this superintendent making $270,000 a year. Bob K says, how much you want to bet he gets his pension? Well, I mean, he's going to have to get it in his home country because he's out of here. And somebody else asking, how many Americans could have gotten the superintendent's job? And they also believe he was lying about his credentials, which he had to be, because you had to make up a background to get you hired for superintendent, which would include education you could not have had. Somebody says, are you sure it wasn't Chauncey asking if Cutie had pooped? I don't know. We don't know. Oh, so here's the latest. Here's the latest from our Scranton mayor. And I don't want to burden you people that don't live in Scranton with this. But see, this is the hallmark of the left and today's Democrat Party. Now, the mayor said, we desperately need Geisinger and its expansion. They're trying to expand the ER. I was there. You're out in the hallway. I laid in the hallway for 3 hours. So they said lack of space and hospital beds. Scranton Mayor Paige Cognetti, now running for Congress against incumbent Republican Representative Rob Bresnahan. She said the expansion was necessary for her constituents' health. Then she approved a zoning plan that killed the expansion. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't make this up. Thank you to everybody who sent it to me. But this is reported by the Washington Free Beacon. And I had the report early in the week and forgot about it, and then my man Lance Stange reminded me. So she's bid rigging. She's a total incompetent. I don't get it. And listen to her speak. It's all jargon. It's all new age jargon. It's all bureaucratic jargon. Meanwhile, nothing gets done in the city. Please go up to Naog Park if you live in the city of Scranton and look where the James Walsh Pool Complex used to be. And remember that this mayor, by the way, didn't get the Kapause Avenue splash pad done. And by the way, where do teenagers go? They don't go to splash pads. But Mayor Cognetti said, well, think of how much water these pools use. Oh, yeah, Paige. They use water. What an amazing thought. Because she's a left-wing lunatic. And that's awful for the environment, apparently, to use water. And she lied to the council, city council, even though the three blind mice went along with her ever after. She said, no, the money's designated, the funds from COVID, the $69 million. No, they're designated. We can't just use them for whatever we want. Well, that was a lie. If she didn't know it, that's disgraceful. If she did, well, that has its own disgrace. And then the three blind mice falling for it ignorantly. And now we don't have a pool after 5 years of her administration. And now there isn't one on Kapaus Avenue because a contractor she didn't like politically won the bid. She threw the bids out. She rigged the bids. Somebody says, Bob, did you see that the mayor is opening up City Hall, a.k.a. the Wonka Factory, yeah, for tours now after keeping on lockdown and not allowing taxpayers to go in for years? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it just goes on and on. And now she wants to run for Congress after she's failed as mayor. Unbelievable. Yeah, I like that. It is. It's like opening up the Willy Wonka candy factory. And all of this happening 1 month before the election. Isn't it surprising? Unbelievable. By the way, speaking of her compatriot, by the way, who gave her an award for being a great mayor for doing nothing. But here's Shapiro. Netflix has a 3-part series. And a bunch of you have been bringing this to my attention. The Philadelphia woman who stabbed 20 times, and Shapiro, as Attorney General, ruled it a suicide. You can't get any phonier than these people. You cannot. It's literally impossible to get phonier than Paige Cognetti and Josh Shapiro. And their close adherents. It's unreal. Well, my Bacardi Jewelers watch tells me we're approaching 10:50. That means Bloomberg Money Minute. 10:50 on the dot. Ringo Starr, Photograph, and of course, Johnny Carson, the late, great Johnny Carson. 1962, he debuted. And man, for 30 years, he just did it better than anyone has even come close. No one's even come. They haven't. They have not come close. Hey, so somebody reminds me that there's some doubt whether Paige Cognetti lives in Scranton. And I don't know, it occurred to me, there's a scene from Casino. And it's Nikki switching cars. And I said, I think this is how she gets to work from the summit every day, trying to pretend she lives in Scranton. This scene when Nikki's switching cars. That's what I'm told. That's how she gets to work in the morning. The few days she goes to City Hall, and I guess when she's going to be running the tours there in the Wonka factory, somebody called it the sausage factory. No, sausage tastes good in the end. It's very different. But she's got to switch cars and garages and everything else in case somebody's watching, just in case. Well, enough frivolity. It is 11:01:33 on my Bacardo Jewelers watch. So that means it's time for the news with Brian Hughes. We'll be back. Tomorrow is Yom Kippur. Great good morning, everyone. 11:07 a.m. and change on my Cordaro Jewelers watch here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Wednesday, October 1, 2025, 60 degrees and sunny outside. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and companies like his Basiliga Hospitality, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like the veterans we salute today, thanks to John. Men we lost this year, like Patrick McDonald, Dixon City, Robert Butch Jones, Larksville, Frank Zach, Taylor, Philip Zangi, Falls Township, Chuck Haynes, Jessup, and William Mitchell, Bear Creek Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Lining up guests in the middle. I tried to explain this to that goofball Chris Kelly. This is why I don't like to have guests in the studio. Not only because he's odious, but because in the commercial, I've got to schedule things. I don't have an assistant. Yes, I have the Bulldog, and he makes everything sound and come to you sound-wise, audio-wise. But I don't have an assistant. I don't have production assistants, all of that. So I'm scheduling interviews during commercials. I cannot have someone with their bug eyes staring at me or have a discussion during the commercial. Just can't do it. So once again, Chris Kelly, and he's at a whatever. You're welcome to the show anytime. You have my email now, even though you pretended you didn't for about a year. You have my email, and you could have looked on the website. That's another story. But and being the reporter you are, you're welcome on the program anytime. You tell me what you want to talk about, we'll talk about it. In any event. Good lineup of guests tomorrow going into Friday. Somebody says, Bob, did you say my name? AJ yelling to Wilkes-Barre. Yes, I did. Congratulating you on that feat of just heroism while you were doing your job. And I saw it in the paper, AJ. And Tyler Carilla as well. You guys certainly saved lives. So, yes, I did say your name, AJ, and thank you for doing it. I'm a big DPW guy. We play, I'm telling you, no matter where I lived, and I have my friend Homer from the Dunmore DPW, he's given me two different shirts. I've got an orange summer shirt, and I'm not that inclined to wear the orange, but I do. Because, that was the colored jumpsuit I had to wear far too often. So orange is not one of my favorite colors. But then I've got a fluorescent yellow now with Dunmore DPW. And every Thursday or Friday, depending on the day they're coming and getting my garbage, we play Stick Out Your Can. Here come the garbage man. We love the DPW, and people have to think. I mean, these things don't just happen. These guys are out busting their tails. Last week, it was raining, and I mean hard at times. No, they're out there anyway, getting the job done. And that's a big deal. Believe me, it's a big deal. Try not having your garbage picked up for a little bit and tell me. Try not having those potholes fixed and tell me what you're thinking. Your sewers cleaned out. All the things they do. By the way, Mother Teresa, St. Teresa for October 1st. She says, if we really want to love, we must learn to forgive. Amen. It's just great. Nobody could reduce life to its greatest wisdom in one sentence like St. Teresa. Her goodness was her greatness. And it was so deep and so much a part of her, and she lived it fully with total sacrifice that I know I'm just in awe of her every day. And thank you, Mary Regina, for sending that in. It's a big deal. It really is. Oh, AJ says, me and Tyler will give you a shirt. Oh, I'd love a Wilkes-Barre DPW shirt. I have my Wilkes-Barre cop shirt from my son. Yeah, and by the way, I'll point out I only have one. Now, Cutie, she washes everything constantly. I can wear the same shirt every day of the week. It would be clean. And anyway, somebody says Paige Cognetti gets away with lying over 90% of what she says because the liberal media. Well, let's put it this way: they don't have time on TV. Let's give them a little leeway. Although Channel 16 is left wing, at least the managers of the news are. Yeah, they refused to fact check her. And so did the morning show. They just ignored the fact that the big mediocre bill wasn't even in effect when she was on the radio here lying. Yes, it's so obvious that Mayor Cognetti's incompetent for any political position because she has to hire a panel of advisors on the taxpayer's dime to do anything. I know. She actually, and this is as nuts as it sounds. It's actually worse than the bid rigging on the Kapaus Avenue splash pad. It's actually worse than the pool not being built at Naog. It's actually worse than the possibility that she doesn't even live in the city. And it's actually worse that our streets are like Fallujah when she's got $69 million handed to her. It's unbelievable. But she actually hired, as a delay tactic, but also for people who will now make contributions to her, hired a consulting firm to pick a consulting firm. Yes, that actually happened. That's how bad it is. It's unbelievable. And I'm a City of Scranton resident, so I'm suffering. Big Lou, I mean, thank God it's a four-wheel drive. I could drive the streets of Scranton. And the street I live on is a catastrophe. Maybe intentionally, by the way. That's what I'm told by fairly reliable sources. She ain't paving your street. That's what I was told. From someone who would know. And I'm like, wow. Well, when I saw the bid rigging for a political opponent against a political opponent, I said, well, okay, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of pettiness in City Hall. Somebody asking, apropos of nothing, whatever happened to your favorite caller, Frank from Wilkes-Barre? I don't know, but I can't let him on all the time. I really can't. And really, I don't mind the insanity. I don't mind the Trump derangement syndrome. But he made this insane accusation. This was the beginning of the end. I put him on subsequently, but it's just, he made the insane statement, a complete lie, which is his entire phone calls. That's all his phone calls. They're all lies. He made the statement that Trump killed those kids that were killed at that camp in Texas, that were drowned. Enough. I can't have it. You know, we can have all the fun you want, but when you go mentally ill on me, I can't do it. That's why I would say, like a person like Chris Kelly who wants to come in, he's got a mental problem. He's got issues, serious issues. I'm not going to have him in the studio. Just not going to do it. Oh, Lordy Lord. Anyway, let's go to, what do we got here? Mike and Duryea. Hey, Mike.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm great.
I gotta inform the audience out there. I have two members of my family, young kids that have mild autism. But anyways,
the scourge of our day. Boy, oh boy.
Well, what happened to me is that next door to me, I'm in Duryea. I have a house, but next door to me, my neighbor sold her house, and she was proud to say that she got $300,000 for the house. Then she kind of gloated, and she said that Beacon Specialty Services had bought the house. Now, I researched Beacon, and it turns out, and I talked to the guy who cuts the grass, hired by Beacon, these people have older autism patients that they're being taken care of. I didn't know this. So what I'm saying is that if now one in 12 kids nowadays, young kids, have autism, we're going to be paying for adults in the future with autism. Yeah. Now, I think Tylenol, whoever makes Tylenol, should be responsible. I cannot believe that Beacon is making this much money on the state of Pennsylvania. They're supplying, which is okay, I guess, if you want to take care of these people.
There's no doubt about it. The service is needed, and
oh no, I don't want to get into that. I understand that.
But
part.
Mike, you know what?
I understand it,
Mike. The one thing, and I wanted to get your reaction, given that did you say you have an autistic child?
No, I don't. I know. I'm not older than that. What I'm saying is that I know two members have mild form of autism.
Well, so there's got to be, and the one thing I was disappointed with. And I'm happy they're doing something.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about how.
Well, let me finish my sentence, Mike. We do this every time you call in.
I know, but you're jumping off the ship here a little bit.
Well, I'm jumping. Well, Jim, it's my ship, or Mike, it's my ship. So I'm staying on the ship. I'm keeping you on on point.
Well, now, throw me in the dinghy.
The point is this. The Trump administration is attacking the problem, but I thought they went way. And I was surprised at RFK. Trump simplifies everything and overpromises all the time. But I was surprised at RFK saying we're going to find and tell you the cause of autism. Well, it's not Tylenol alone. It could be 20 things. It could be 30 things.
For example, I mentioned about that bridge in Scranton, that train bridge. I drove on it the other day, and the rusted beams are still there, and cars are going underneath it. Now, if I told you don't walk under that bridge because it might fall down when the train goes over it, don't walk under the bridge.
Yeah.
I'm saying, so the same thing with Tylenol. If I tell you don't take Tylenol, and these idiot women are taking them, I don't know if they're sugar pills they're taking.
On video. Insane.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, I don't know if they're gloating that Tylenol, I'm taking Tylenol when I'm pregnant. All right, that's crazy. I mean, to me, if somebody said, don't chew gum because you might lose your teeth, it's up to you. I mean, don't chew gum. What I'm saying is that don't walk under the bridge. If I say it's going to fall down, maybe.
Yep.
What I'm saying is that I get back at the Beacon. I cannot believe our taxpayers are paying that much for this company. The owners of Beacon are making so much money on the taking care of autism patients. I mean, that's fine.
By the way, somebody pointing out, Mike, that Beacon is a new name for Keystone City Resources that I guess went bankrupt or went out of business.
Whatever. Yeah. What I'm saying is that the public in Pennsylvania, the taxpayers are going to be paying well into the future because these young kids have autism, 1 in 20 or whatever it is. Now in the future, we're going to have all these, when the parents die and these older autism patients need to be taken care of, which is fine. But now something's got to be done. We can't have Beacon up houses in residential areas and whatever and having 2 patients in there and having 4 people cooking for them and throwing a ball to give them exercise. What I'm saying is
let us hope that RFK and the Trump administration go after all the potential causes of
you
autism
got this.
because it's
You
a
got this.
horrible scourge. Mike, we got to go, my
Well,
man. But thank you.
bye.
And I'm happy you brought up the point because the point's important. The explosion of autism and attacking it because it's the substances we eat. It's things in the environment. It would not be beyond my thoughts that it is not beyond my thoughts that this chemtrail thing is part of it. Believe me, there's a lot going into the autistic crisis in the United States, and it's got to be dealt with. And thank God they're at least starting. I'm overpromising, but starting. We'll take a break and be back. Sticks. Murph says this date, 1979, they released their hit, Babe. And before that, Disney. 1971, Disney World. There was Disneyland in California, Los Angeles area. But then this was a whole new, everything they couldn't do in L.A., in California, they did in Florida, including their own district. And then over the decades, the company went woke and insane. And now we've got princesses with mustaches in Disney World. Look, I don't think I'll give them my money again. I truly don't. I really don't think I will, because they do not support any kind of values that I subscribe to. They just don't. It's an awful company run by lunatics, and they're making indoctrination movies instead of entertaining people anymore. Somebody texts in, Bob, stop pothole Paige Cognetti. We fill every pothole in the city. 2 advisors per pothole minimum. Take it or leave it. Bob and the taxpayers must also pay for the measuring tapes. Take it or leave it. I know. Somebody texted in, you don't want to make light of this, but it's funny. I've always wondered why I was such a dummy. It's because my mom took Tylenol. What a relief. Somebody else says, as it's getting closer to election day, I'm waiting for Mayor Cognetti to run ads and go on the morning show with the claim that she was the one to bring Dunder Mifflin to Scranton. Yeah, I know. Somebody says, did you ever notice the morning show never challenges anything you say negative about them? They know that they're wrong. LTS says Rich the Courier. Well, I would subscribe to that. Somebody else says, Bob, AJ from Wilkes-Barre, our newly minted hero, is also the pothole guy. He fills them all. Fascinating. Another Wendy from Taylor says, Bob, you may also know, or people may also know, that Allied Services, which receives significant government funding, has residential homes outside their campus. My husband's childhood home was purchased by them nearly 25 years ago. I believe they have 3 handicapped adults living there who have round-the-clock care. And we need it. We really need it. It's a tough malady, and it's got so many forms, and it's so frustrating for the parents. But that's why I love Trump. I think you guys understand that. I love his policies. I love all of the efforts they are making on so many fronts, including the health front. But again, when RFK promised, we're going to give you the reason for autism, and all they came up with was Tylenol, I was beyond disappointed. And I tell you again, it's the dyes, and he's attacking on all these fronts, by the way. It's the garbage in our food chain. It's the garbage in our vaccines and our medicines that either make it cheaper or that are just a lazy way to do it, whatever the product may be. It could be the chemtrails above us that are falling down. It could be so many things, but it's probably a combination of things. As one of our great listeners said, it could be like the original Batman movie, and I mean the Jack Nicholson one, the Tim Burton one, where it was a combination of products which by themselves would be fine, but they're coming together. That's probably the best answer. They're coming together, and so many people are exposed to multiple things, and that's causing the explosion in autism. But we've got to attack it on every front. Somebody else could be microplastics. Amen. There's a lot to do. Somebody joking, they're not autistic anymore. They're Tylenol Americans. Somebody said, Bob, LTS, you hit on this the head, this whole halftime show bullshit. I didn't get to it yet, but thank you for giving me credit. I haven't watched the NFL since they started their kneeling crap. It hit them in the wallet. Give the NFL the Bud Light treatment, says Frank on the pipeline. Frank, I don't disagree with you. This silly halftime show. I saved and I didn't get to it until just now, so thank you. The Babylon Bee. This is NFL hoping to win back conservatives with Super Bowl performance by Spanish-speaking man in a dress. Yeah. You just... Walter Goodell is a disease. He's a woke disease trying to affect the country when we're just trying to watch football. And my executive producer, Mr. Paulie, does not watch the NFL because of this insanity. Jay-Z, hey, very happy for your success. But you are no moral arbiter, and the entertainment that the NFL studs itself with is disgraceful and idiotic and has nothing to do with its audience. They despise their audience. People like me that love football, that want to watch people hit each other, and the unique ballet that is football. Yeah. What's the guy's name? I don't know. It's just a joke. Yeah, hoping to win back conservatives by having a performance of a Spanish-speaking dude in a dress. Unbelievable. All right. We're over, but we got to go to this break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. Let's hear from our great sponsors. We'll come back with our Veterans Tribute and the weather, and as they say, more. If you go to the Bloomsburg American Legion, they've got a beautiful, I don't know if you'd call it a courtyard or what. And there's a stone that says, "What is a veteran?" I add a little bit in here, but it says, "A veteran, whether active duty, discharged, retired, or reserve, peacetime or wartime, is someone who at one point in his or her life wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America and its people for an amount of up to and including his or her life. That is honor." And our Veterans Tribute this hour, as in every hour, this day as in every day, brought to you by John Basiliga and his great Basiliga hospitality, featuring incredible bar restaurants like the Far Street Tavern in West Scranton, the Old Brook Inn in Springbrook Township, the Queen City Tavern in Oliphant, the finest of fine dining like a Terra 519, downtown Scranton, and timeless elegance at the Stegmeyer Mansion, downtown Wilkes-Barre. Charles Chuck Haynes Jessup. He was only 73 when he died September 17th. He had a lengthy illness he suffered from. He was born in Dunmore, son of the late Mike and Sally Haynes, a graduate of Dunmore High School. After graduation, he honorably served in the United States Army as a specialist 5th class for 11 years before dedicating the remainder of his career to construction. Surviving Chuck Haynes is his wife of 30 years, Mary Ann. His daughter, Lisa, son-in-law, Mark and Duryea, granddaughters, Ariel and Marissa Kuchwara, great-grandchildren, Eva and Luca, nephews, and other family members. Charles Chuck Haynes. William Mitchell. He was 94. We lost him September 16th. He was from Bear Creek Township. Born in the Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre. He grew up in the city and attended city schools, including James M. Coughlin High School, where he was on the football team. He then joined the United States Army during the Korean War and was stationed with the legendary 109th Field Infantry in Okinawa, Japan, until honorably discharged. When he returned home, he found work in the coal mines as a miner and as a milk delivery driver for Pervin Dairy. In 1967, William opened his own business, the Bear Creek Nursery. The nursery began doing so well in a short time, he opened 2 other businesses, Bear Creek Ski Shack and Bear Creek Garden Center. Know those businesses well. He married the former Louise Hayes, and together they raised 4 children. They resided in Bear Creek Township for a lifetime. He loved hunting, fishing, skiing, traveling. Member of the Bear Creek Lions Club and the Pennsylvania Landscape and Nursery Association. He was preceded in death by his loving wife, Louise, tragically, by daughter Leanne and son Kenneth. Surviving, however, are his sons, William Jr. in Bear Creek, Thomas in Bear Creek, grandchildren, brothers, and other family members, including his sister, nieces, nephews. William Mitchell. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. What does that mean? I guess that means it's time for the weather. Storm Tracker, and it was nothing we could do anything about, right? Storm Tracker 16 forecast, meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today, mostly sunny and cooler. 68 degrees. It's 62 as I speak outside the studios. Tonight, clear skies down to 43. And I am begging Chauncey, I take him out before I go to bed. I take him out. Don't make me go out and 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning again. Thursday, sunny, 70 degrees. Friday, sunny, 72. And don't give me the stuff that the cutie gives me. You wanted the dog. I didn't request that he wants to get out and check out the neighborhood at 2 in the morning. Somebody says, and I don't know if they're kidding. They texted in. I asked Paige Cognetti, why don't you listen to the Bob Cordaro show? She told me I would, but it's dark outside when he's on the air. Now, that can mean a lot of things if it's true. It actually could be funny. Somebody says, I left Scranton once they wanted my tax dollars to remodel the Hotel Casey. If I come back to visit, can I get a room there? No, you can't. Haven't followed Scranton news over the years. But across the street where the great Hotel Casey was, there's a Hilton. There's also downtown a Radisson. 2 great hotels. So you can stay right there in the heart of things and check out our great little city, which I point out again, ask any developer, ask any business person, and I haven't found one to contradict me yet. What they've done in the last 5 years, they've done despite Mayor Cognetti and against Mayor Cognetti. All the great developments that have happened. She either can't be found or she opposes it because you ticked her off about something, or you're not a supporter of hers, or you're conservative. This is what I hear from everybody. And when you see the bid rigging situation on Kapaus Avenue splash pad, you get it. There's retribution in this left-winger's heart. Drive down my street. Mayor Paige Cognetti count over 1,000 potholes in the city of Scranton, called FEMA, NASA, and reported them as meteor strikes. Yeah. Virtually, yeah. Bob, we grew up with glass bottles and paper bags. Then they were all considered bad for the environment. Then it was paper or plastic. Now it's paper or bring your own bag or just bring your own bag. Who caused all the confusion? The always confused liberals. Yep. Remember that? Oh, we got to switch to plastic. We're killing the trees. Now Wegman switches to, and by the way, those are multi-use bags. Most of them end up in the landfill. Okay. Let them disintegrate there. But the paper bags, you got to chop down a tree. And they're not very reliable. You try to pick 3 or 4 bags up at once, they always rip. Bob, what is the name about of the song and who sings it that you're playing in the background? Well, we play 3 of them. Bulldog, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting your party. What songs, what are the 3 songs we play for under the Veterans Tribute? Bulldog's having he's having a party next door. Has some kind of party going on. Go ahead, Bulldog. Sorry to bother you now. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. That's the 9:30. At 10:30. Mm-hmm. And these were all listener suggestions, so that's the songs we play. We love them, and we'd played Gerard Mayer had a great song, a great cover of a song. We played that. We played Soldier's song. So we love it. We really do. But yeah, these people. Somebody's. Bob, I know you have no control over the commercials sponsored, but if I hear the leaf filter commercial one more time, you're going to hear me scream all the way inside the radio station building. You're right. I can't help it. And don't be turning the show off during the commercials, because that's why we're on. So I said, Bob, my neighbors probably think I'm nuts because I'm usually out with my dog at 12:30 or 1 a.m. also. She's a puppy, too, and it is better than an accident in the house. I'm usually in pajamas. Hope my neighbors aren't watching. Oh, well. LTS back at you. I mean, you're right. The accident, and it's dark in the house. You can be stepping in it, too, so it's, you can't do it. Somebody said, Bob, the oil prices seem to be going down every day. Any idea why gas prices, especially in this area, are so high? We've got a unique issue here, Northeast Pennsylvania, with gas prices. I don't know what it is, by the way. And then Pennsylvania has the second highest gas tax in the country after California. That's the other reason. Bloomberg Money Minute. Tell me to watch. Says it's I never heard this song or about this band, but Murph found them because October 1st, 1990, Firehouse moved up to number 5 with their hit Love of a Lifetime, and that was Murph's wedding song the following year. And the marriage has stayed together and strong as hell, and that means it's a great song. Way to go, Murph. We're going to finish with the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm sure I'll know the song. Yeah, I do know the song. Okay. Number 5 with their hit Scar Tissue. That's how we'll wrap it up today. We're already at that point. Isn't that crazy? By the way, Babylon B, it says Mormons respond to the attack. Remember the attack by the crazy man? By continuing to be amazingly kind to everyone. Amazing. Another sad. Man could have been profoundly moved by a classic piece of literature if it had only contained a character of his exact race, sex, and socioeconomic class. Yeah, people like me. Ugh. Another Babylon Bee. Supporters asked Gavin Newsom to stop doing meth before posting on social media. And another, apropos of one of our listeners called in today, smart, this man joined the Mets so we can get the whole month of October off every year. Somebody asked, did Murph sing the song? I don't think so. He's on a next level of performance now. By the way, somebody pointing out there's a 20-cent difference on regular gas from Dunmore sheets to the Scranton sheets. I don't understand. Yeah, how about that? I don't understand it. I really don't. Someone else, instead of Mayor Cognetti hiring advisors and consultants, she needs to hire a bunch of auto adjusters to fix the damage to our vehicles for the streets she refused to pave. Navy guy's shocked I never heard of Firehouse. I didn't. Murph did. That's all that matters, though, Navy guy. Yeah, always remember the price of the gas you're paying for today is what they anticipate paying for their next load. So it makes a difference. Hey, we got to go. I'll mention our veterans one more time, though. Thanks to John Basiliga for bringing it to us. William Mitchell, Bear Creek Township. Chuck Haynes, Jessup. Patrick McDonald, Dixon City. Robert Butch Jones, Larksville. Frank Zach, Taylor. Philip Zangi, Falls Township. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to their families. I mention again my friend Dr. Michael Iluzzi. We lost him. And it bears repeating. Our two great DPW employees in Wilkes-Barre that they saved lives. A.J. Yellen and Tyler Carilla. And then finally to mention, because my man, Mayor Jamie, was his boss back in the day, Dave Zankner retiring. Gotta love that guy. Now, Mark Wozniak, did I say Chili Peppers? I didn't say Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe I didn't. That's who's playing now. 1999, October 1st. Hey, we got to go. Gaveling to a close. God willing, we'll see you tomorrow for another meeting of the Club for Common Sense.